Welcome everybody to another YouTube Hangout. Super excited to be joining you again here. Another awesome Thursday. I've got a new friend with me, Kyle from readmoreco.com. You can go check him out there. He wrote to me, wanted to do an interview around My One Word, the book, for his podcast. And I thought, hey, let's do it as a YouTube Hangout. So I'm going to introduce him to my audience as well, to you guys. Kyle, welcome aboard, man. Maybe give my audience a couple words about what you're all about.
Hello, how's it going? Like you said, my name's Kyle Colley from Read More CO. I'm actually the CEO of the business. We're a forward-thinking, passionate company that uses books and fashion to promote the importance of reading. So as you can see, if you guys have read Think and Grow Rich, we have a Who is Napoleon Hill hat right here. Just to give people a little awareness to great authors. That's why we're here with Evan today, just to talk about his new book, Your One Word. So we're here today, and let's have a great talk.
I love it. Well, run it like it's your show, man. You take us anywhere you want to go. Hit me with your questions.
Okay, so the first question we want to ask is, how do you use perception and leverage to build a large following, maybe on YouTube or just as a brand as a whole?
How to use perception? That's interesting. I think if your goal is to build a social media following, YouTube or anywhere else, I think it's important that, first of all, you figure out what it is that you stand for. So for me, it's figuring out what your one word is. For me, it's believe. Everything that I create is around believe. The content, like everything I make, I want my grandkids to be proud of, and it oozes believe. And before, it used to just be a bunch of promotional stuff. I think a lot of people, that's how they get their start. They're just, hey, check out my latest podcast. Hey, check out my latest video. You want to make sure that every post that you're making is really valuable. And I think that where perception comes in first is figuring out what it is that you want to say. What's your message, right? If you figure out your one word, what you're all about, you can figure out your message. And then from there, you're creating content that is meaningful. I think if all you're trying to do is see what other people are talking about and try to copy that, the best you're ever going to be is a junior version of somebody else, where you have to figure out what is your unique message and then start posting content that is really meaningful to you. And it's not going to hit everybody. Some people will look at it and say, that's stupid. I hate that stuff. And that's fine. You know, you're not trying to please everybody. You're trying to hit the people who have who want to hear the same message that you have to share.
Okay, awesome. I love that. I love that. So just one of my favorite things that you do is the rules to success. So my question is, what inspired you to start doing that? Was there any like one specific person you looked at to do it, or did you just, where the idea come from?
So two things inspired that. The first one, I had a friend of mine who made a blog post about Kanye West and was hating on him and the whole Taylor Swift thing. And like, how many years ago was Kanye and Taylor, you know, like when he interrupted her at the awards? And I thought, you know, Kanye says a lot of stupid things sometimes, but he's also a really smart dude. You know, the guy's gone and won more Grammys than anybody in the history of the world at his age. And he's successfully transitioned from just making beats to being a rapper to being an entrepreneur in fashion. And I think a lot of his successes get overlooked because of the sometimes stupid things that he says. And so I thought, you know what, I want to make a top 10 video of all the good things about Kanye and some of his best advice, not just all of the, you know, things that he may say that may upset people. And I made that as a reaction to my friend. And then as I was doing it, I also thought, this is pretty cool. Like, I want to be surrounded by people who've done a lot more than me. I want to be around success. You know, my friends and the people in my family aren't really entrepreneurs. And so I figured if I could hang around people, even if I never meet them, just watch their videos, listen to their clips, see how they think, see how they get inspired, how they react to different situations. Hopefully some of that magic pixie dust rubs off onto me. Not for me to be the next Kanye, but for me to be the best version of myself. And so that's what I set out to do. And it started off with one video a week and then 2 videos a week. And now it's 5 times a week of different successful entrepreneurs, musicians, athletes, people from all different walks of life. And at least I think if you can hang around more successful people, some of it's going to rub off on you to make you more successful as well.
Yeah, I love that. That's kind of, I mean, honestly, that's the same thing with how I do it. Read more. I just started reading about successful people and then started, like you said, pulling those rules of success from my own thing. So I said, Sam Walton, you know, he might look at each store and kind of figure out small things that each store does that's different. So from all those people that I read from, I kind of got that same rules of success mindset. So I love that you do that. The next question I have for you is, how has your one word believe revolutionized your life?
I think it comes back to your first question about perception. I think it was understanding what it was that made me tick, what it was that made me happy and come alive. And listen, I had a good life before too. It wasn't like I hit rock bottom and then I had to figure my way out. I just felt like there was more to my life than what I was currently living. I felt like I wasn't close to my ceiling. I felt like there was still a lot more room to rise up, and I didn't know how to get there. I think a lot of people feel that way. Some people may feel like they're at the bottom and they need to climb out of that hole. But some people are doing okay. But they know there's another gear inside them. They know they could be doing more, and they just don't know how. And so I think it starts with understanding what it is that makes you tick. And your one word is basically just your single most important core value. What is the thing that means the most to you, your single most important core value, and then designing a life and a business around it. And I started doing a whole bunch of different tests, tiny little experiments. I'm not the guy who jumps all in. I'm not the guy who's like, okay, I'm gonna burn all my bridges and burn all the boats and just commit 100% to this new idea. I like to test and tweak and see how things work. And every little thing that I tested around Believe just started doing well. I did a newsletter on Believe. It became my best newsletter. I did a video on Believe. It became my best video. And so everything I touched that was around Believe not only did well from a commercial point of view and that people liked it and resonated with it, but it made me feel good. You know, it made me feel better. Like I was really proud of that work that I was creating because it was at the core of who I was. And so I think Believe is what it is for me. I don't think Believe is obviously not for everybody. If you try just to copy mine, you're not going to have ultimate figured out.
Yeah. Hello. I think that's good. I mean, for me, after reading, I came up with the word wonderful. I think wonderful is a tremendous word. I don't know if we're still live. It looked like we might have broke down. Let's see what's going on. Hello.
Kyle.
Hello.
We're back.
Yeah,
there we go. We're back. All
awesome.
right.
Awesome. Yeah, I was just saying that the word wonderful kind of came to my mind. Wonderful and thankful. I kind of battle them because they're both just some tremendous words. I think wonderful has such a great, core belief with me because as I look at my life, I just seen some of like the tremendous, blessings or however you want to call them that just have happened in my life. So even starting a business when I'll just, when I'm at the age of 19, it's just, it's tremendous, wonderful. So, and I'm really thankful as the saying goes. But the next question, I said, do you plan to write any more books in the future? Just
I have two. Question. Yeah, I have two. I'm finished the first draft on the first one, which is a lot easier. The first one is around, I basically took the 50 most popular top 10s that we've done on the channel. So 50 people times 10 is 500 rules. And we're making a book on their 500 rules and then condensing that down to what are the 10 most frequent rules that keep coming up over and over and over and over again. And to make it kind of the handbook to say, like, look, listen, if one person says it, maybe that's an anomaly. There's something different, special, but some of these things keep coming up over and over and over and over and over again. And maybe these are the things you should be paying attention to. And so I just finished the first draft of that. And I'm pretty, like, I read it myself, I get energized. Like, I'm making it for myself. I want to just read a page a day and like, man, yeah, I love that. The second book is going to take a lot longer. It's more about designing an environment and rituals and a routine to set you up for success on a daily basis, because a lot of people get motivated and inspired. Maybe they listen to this interview, this podcast, and they're on fire. And then the next day they wake up and they're starting from scratch again. And so how do you keep that energy consistent on a regular basis? I think is super important. But that's a year plus away. So both of those books I'm pretty excited by.
I love it. I love it. And so just go into how is your writing process for this book? And I guess since you have all these two other books, how has it been for those ones as well? Thus far?
For me, so I have a hard time keeping the big picture and small picture in mind at the same time. So what I like to do is when I'm writing or when I'm doing anything in my business, I like to, at the start, come up with the high level, what am I trying to do? So I'll start with, what is this book about? Like, what's the main concept? So in this, it's one word, great. Then what are the sections? What are the general sections that I want to cover? So there's 3 main sections in the book: core, campaign, company. Core is about yourself, campaign is about marketing, and company is about building a whole company. Great. Then within each section, what are the different chapter breakdowns that I want to go over? So in core, what are the 3 things that I want to cover? And those will each be chapters. And then when I get to the chapters, I can go and start writing the pages in each chapter that makes sense. When I'm writing the pages, I'm not thinking about the structure all the way up. I have a hard time doing both at the same time. So I like having the strategy, figure all that out, and then just go do. It's like my morning routine. I don't want to have to think every morning what I'm going to do. I want it to be laid out, and I want to just wake up and go and do it. But then every month or every quarter, I sit down and think, okay, you know what, is my morning routine serving me? I step back up to the strategic level. How do I plan this out so it works for me on a daily basis? And then again, the next day I wake up and I just do, and I just do, and I just do. If you spend your time always thinking, then you don't spend enough time actually taking action. So that helps. The other thing that really helped for me is I need dedicated time to do it. Some people recommend doing 2 pages of crappy writing every day, wake up and just write. I need time. Like, I can't just spend half an hour a day writing. I would rather spend an entire day writing, because it takes me 30, 40 minutes just to get back into the flow of where I left off before. And so what I would do is I would spend 1 day a week. When I was writing your one word, it was Tuesday. I would spend the whole day Tuesday on my book. That's what I would do. And so I would write from my local cafe. I would document the process too. So I made a YouTube series, Follow Me Along. And I would walk to Whole Foods to the cafe, film my video, answer people's questions, and then just sit down and write. And no distractions, no emails, no meetings. And for me, that worked out best. It may not be for every author, but I like undivided attention on one project at a time.
I love it. I love it. So what's the best book you've read in 2017? Just a simple question.
Yeah, I'm reading Unlimited Power right now, Tony Robbins. It's not a new book. It's a really old book. I think it's from the 80s. But a lot of the messages are still ringing true. And so I'm deeply enjoying that book. The other one that I finished just before was Onwards by Howard Schultz. He's the founder of Starbucks, and it's around building a business around your core values too, which resonates well with what your one word is all about. So those are 2 great books.
Yeah, I love that book Onward, especially when he's talking about how Starbucks was going through that phase of everything wasn't correct, so he shut down the company for that 1 day and just got it right to get the perfect espresso.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh yeah. So another pillar of our company is about happiness and how success and happiness and reading the right books can lead to it. So how do you gauge happiness, and what's a great advice you got about happiness?
That's a good question. I think happiness, a lot of it has to do with being in the moment, in the present. I think if you are only living in the past or only living in the future, then you're, anxious about the future or just remembering the past, but thinking more, in this moment. Like, I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to do this show with you, for my YouTube channel, for your podcast. I love helping entrepreneurs. I think that combination of having a mission, it's surprising how many people have no idea what they want to do, really. So many people are just in survival mode. So many people who you say, like, hey, if I give you all the money that you need, what would you go out and do? And initially that's, okay, I would travel the world and I would buy my mom a house and I would buy this car, and great. Okay, great. Then what do you do? And so many people don't have an answer. Like, they don't know what they want to do. That's so surprising to me. And it's also sad. Like, you have an opportunity to go out and do something amazing and you're not. And you're just living in survival mode. So I think feeling like the work you're doing is important, feeling like you're on a big mission and you have a big goal that you're shooting towards, and then at the same time really enjoying the present moment. I think that's a consistent gut check for me. If I'm not doing something that helps entrepreneurs, then I'm not happy. And if I'm focused too far in the future, too far behind, then I'm also not happy. So that combination, I think, works really well, at least for me.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. I mean, that answer was spot on. So big in success, or even in life. So who has been like a big mentor in your life, become a better leader?
So my biggest mentors, especially early on in my life, were my parents. There's a picture of them behind me on my wall when I'm about 8 years old. Believe came from them. They would always tell me I'm Evan Carmichael. I could do anything I want in the world. And they didn't teach me about entrepreneurship, but they taught me how to be a human being. They taught me how to treat people, how to have confidence, the day-to-day things that you need to, I guess, be a success. And so I really value them for that. My favorite entrepreneur of all time was A.P. Giannini, which most people don't know about. He was the founder of Bank of America. And you think it's kind of strange, like a banker is your favorite entrepreneur? How does that work? He was the banker who bet on the little guy. He was the banker who believed in entrepreneurs. He was the guy who wanted to give, he was the first banker to give immigrants a loan. Banks at the time didn't want to give immigrants money. And so he said, no, immigrants are hardworking people. Like they can do it too. He would lend money to people based off of a handshake and a look in their eye. If you can imagine going to the bank and saying, hey, I'll shake on it and I'll pay you back. He's the guy who gave Walt Disney the money to start his big movie when people thought movies are like nobody's gonna watch a cartoon that's an hour and a half. It's just not gonna happen. And so I look up to him, again, a values-based entrepreneur, and he believed in helping out the little guy. So my parents for most things, and then the A.P. Giannini from a business perspective would be the big two.
Awesome. Okay, I think this may just be the last question. It's about your brand. So 5 years from now, where do you see yourself and where do you see your brand?
It's always a tough question for me. I don't really think in those terms. I think lifetime, and then I think like 3 to 6 months. So lifetime, I want to help 1 billion entrepreneurs. And really that just comes down to, I want to do work that's meaningful, that's big, that has the ability to impact a lot of people. So I wrote a book with a major publisher, Penguin Random House, because I wanted the message to spread. I do YouTube because I want my message to spread. I want to reach a lot of people. I don't do one-on-one coaching, which can be very fulfilling, but it doesn't fulfill my goal of hitting, 1 billion entrepreneurs. And so I believe that entrepreneurs will solve all the world's major problems. And if I can inspire 1 billion entrepreneurs and have a tiny impact on them, like if my touch on them is a 0.5% increase on their performance times 1 billion people, that's insane value. At the same time, I'm just hyper-focused on what I'm doing right now. I'm working on my YouTube channel. I'm working on my book. I'm working on some of the companies that I've invested in. I have no idea where I'm going to be in 5 years. If you asked me 5 years ago if I thought I'd have a book, I'd say, no, I don't want to write a book. So I think it's really important to be stubborn about the why. Like, why are you doing this? What's the mission you're on? Like, you are stubborn about the mission. People can't divert you from your mission because it's important. You need to be stubborn because you're going to get a lot of people saying that it's stupid. You're going to have a lot of failure, a lot of rejection, a lot of naysayers that will come at you as you're trying to hit that big mission. So you're stubborn about the mission and about the why, but you're really flexible about the how. You're flexible about how to go out and do it. I want to hit 1 billion entrepreneurs. I want to have a big impact. I don't really care the how. Maybe it's books, maybe it's YouTube, maybe something new. Like maybe in 3 years, Snapchat will be just way bigger than YouTube, or there'll be this new thing that we've never heard of that will be blowing up. Like, great, I don't care about YouTube. I want to help 1 billion entrepreneurs. Like, forget YouTube. I'm going to hop on this other thing, right? And so I think when you get really stubborn on the how, that's when you start to fail. That's when you start to lose. And so I only think long term, like forever, and what I'm doing right now in the next 3 months. So 5 years, what am I doing? I'm doing something awesome that's helping a lot of entrepreneurs. That's what I'm doing. But I don't care how I'm doing it.
I love it. Actually, I do have another question. So what's the best advice you have on marketing, influence, and building an engaging audience, following? A lot of times when people, especially as startups, they may have a following, but they're not as engaged. So how do you, like, I know you said earlier about the one word and all that, but maybe dive into it a little deeper.
Yeah, I think it's important, again, to post content that you really feel passionate about. I think most people's content sucks. And you know it sucks. Like, look at your own Twitter feed. Would you subscribe to you on Twitter? Like, probably not, right? So that's a good barrier. Like, look at the people who you subscribe to on YouTube, on Twitter. Who do you follow on Snapchat? They're proud of their content. Everybody's proud of their content. They make good stuff. And so would you subscribe to you? That's the first barrier, right? I would subscribe to my stuff. I still think I have a ton of room to grow, and I need to put a lot more work into my YouTube channel, and I'm just barely getting started on what I'm able to do. But I also love my stuff. I think I have the best YouTube channel on the planet. I would subscribe to me. And so, you know, that's the first question to ask. Would you subscribe to you? There's no like one right piece of content. The right piece of content is the one that you feel emotionally engaged with. So if you're really emotionally attached to it, then other people will be as well, and they'll share it and they'll comment on it. I think taking it a next step is, I think it's really important to engage with your audience and respond to comments and be interactive with them. So, you know, on my YouTube channel, at the start, I've responded to every single comment that everybody wrote in. Now, as we get 200-300 comments a day, it's not possible. And so I don't just leave it. Most YouTubers just leave them and they respond for 20 minutes and then they're out. I hired people who are on my team responding as themselves, not as me, but they respond because I want to make sure if you spent time to leave a comment on my channel, you're getting a response. And so if you want people to be engaged with you, a great way to start is to be engaged with them as well, right? Like if somebody's leaving a comment and you say, thank you so much for watching my video, it means a lot to me. The stats on YouTube is like there's 7 or 8 more times likely to subscribe to your channel if you respond and engage in their comments. And it's the same across everything. You know, I go to the gym when I work out, and when I'm on the treadmill, I'm on my social media and I'm responding to people with videos on Twitter and Instagram saying, hey, thank you so much for following me on Instagram. Thank you so much for retweeting my post. And even though I have a pretty sizable audience, especially on Twitter and YouTube, still taking the time to do it. If they feel like you actually care about them, they're going to care more about YouTube. So those two things, make content that you're proud of, that you would subscribe to you, that you love and you want to show your grandkids, and then engage with your audience, respond to them, answer like these questions. A lot of these questions came from your audience, right? Like if they feel, hey, Kyle's listening to me, Kyle takes the time to ask me what are my thoughts, and then he asks these authors my questions, I'm going to come back. I want to listen to that interview Kyle's going to do. I'm going to tell my friends. I'm going to subscribe, right? It doesn't take a lot just to listen to your audience and get them involved.
Yeah, I love it. Actually, the last thing we do is a rapid fire. Just name off your top 7 books that have impacted your life the most.
Top 7 books, rapid
top
fire.
7.
Wow. Okay. 4-Hour Workweek, Tim Ferriss. Radicals and Visionaries. Thaddeus Warrow, he wrote that. Think and Grow Rich. How to Win Friends and Influence People. These are a lot of the classics. Onwards, I love that book. Built to Last. And what do I got? One more. Oh, you know what? I'm going to throw a surprise. Three Kingdoms is a Chinese mythology history book, which is one of the most popular books in Chinese history. I'm a fan of that one.
Gotcha.
Curveball to end it.
I love it. I love all the photos in the back too. I see Steve Jobs back there. It looks awesome.
Yeah,
dude,
your environment matters, man. The physical space you work in matters. It makes a difference. It makes you feel better.
To inspire the world, man. So I appreciate you, Evan. Great conversation. I love the responses you have, and yeah, continue to put in great work, man.
Thanks for the love, Kyle. Have a great weekend.